Am I live now? And does this work? Hopefully. Why is it only half, bro? This makes no sense. Okay, that's better. Oh my gosh, dude. This is making me mad. Okay, that's better. Oh my gosh, dude. This is making me mad. Okay. Bro. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's better. Oh my gosh, dude. This is making me mad. Okay. I'm honestly just gonna roll with it, bro. It's not that deep. I'm gonna change the decibels though. To that, make it not as loud. But it is like picking up absolutely everything. And I don't like that. Man, I hate streaming, man. This stuff's hard. Ooh, so soft. Now let's pop this open, chat. Cool. Sound. Recording. Hello, I might have broke my mic. Hello, did I break it? It looks broke. Bro, what did I do, bro? What did I do? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ah, chat. Bro, what did I do, bro? What did I do? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my. It's not loud enough, bro. It's too quiet. Why does it do that though? I think I need to. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna keep it on studio. Cause it's just one channel now. I want it on multiple channels. I want it to be like Slay. I broke it. No, I didn't break it. Why is it only one now though? What? So I don't have noise suppression. Is that why? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. But now I'm talking twice at once. At once. I don't like that. Bro, I'm so confused. Anyways, while I'm figuring it out, let's look at. Oh, that's gonna be fire.
Time is running out. Snap your W.
I just got ear raped. Monitor off. Monitor off. Monitor off. Monitor off.
Two and file your taxes 100% free now. Plus, get your biggest refund. File free now. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple 1040 returns only. Click for eligibility.
Mahomes went 7-4-7. What do you think of that one, Skip? Tell me, come on, buddy.
I think we're going to go in the direction of Stephen Curry. And I'm going to point out one word.
Steph Curry?
He was throwing balls to his receivers, hitting them in the helmets and stuff like that, and they weren't catching the ball.
It was 31-9. I'm Skip Bayless. I've been a sports commentator for many years on ESPN and on Fox. Now I host the Skip Bayless Show on YouTube. Right now, I am surrounded by 20 NBA and NFL super fans, and I wish each and every one of you the best of luck today because you're going to need it. My first claim is Magic Johnson is the greatest Laker of all time.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta pray because I just ate. I'm gonna eat. Dear God, bless this food that I'm about to eat. But I'm about to watch this well, Lord. So we're gonna eat for you. And for today being Sunday, be able to go to church today, Lord. Pray that if anyone watches this, that they're doing well. You bless them too, Father. And any food that they're eating, Lord. And just bless this food in my body. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Boom, boom.
I know you think Magic is the greatest Laker of all time.
I do.
Skip, I think it's Kobe. I think the game is about a bucket at the end of the day. I think the priority is scoring the basketball. Kobe.
I'm gonna be right back. Okay, chat, I'm back. Call me. Let's go. Betty's my dog, by the way. Let me show you my dog. Come here. Come here, boys. Come here. Ooh. Okay, now look at my freaking headset, dude. What the signal? Let me see if I can hear my audio though. I want to see if it's good or not. Hello. Can I mute that?
Kobe did that better than Magic. I think both of them were very, very transformative in what they did for the Laker franchise and the NBA in general. And I would give it to Kobe, because of his scoring prowess and also, of course, how transformative he was and how many players he inspired.
Look, I take nothing away from Kobe's ability to score buckets, get buckets, because nobody was greater in the history of the game. Magic did transform the franchise because remember, Kareem had been a Laker for 4 years doing next to nothing until Magic walks in the door in 1980 and turns them around and gets them all the way to a Game 6 at Philadelphia in the finals, in which Kareem could not go. And I believe Magic Johnson that day at Philadelphia that evening played the greatest NBA game of all time, greatest playoff game, because he goes as a rookie for 42, 15, and 7 with 3 steals. He makes 14 of 23 shots and all 14 of his free throws and lifts the Lakers over Dr. J's Sixers to a championship, and he's off to the races. Now let's look quickly at Kobe. Again, no disrespect, but I feel like Kobe was obviously Robin to Batman in the three-peat with Shaq, because Shaq dominated those 3 finals the way no players ever dominated an NBA finals to me, including Jordan. That's why I think Shaq is the second greatest Laker of all time. And in those finals, Kobe was good, but he wasn't close to the production that Shaq was equaling. So then Shaq, they fall apart. They lose to the Pistons, obviously, 2004, and he's gone, traded away to Miami. And here we go. So Kobe, without Shaq, misses the playoffs the first year. Then they lose to the Suns in the first round, and he has the pout game in Game 7, and it was hard for me to forgive him for that. And then they lose to the Suns in the first round the next year, and then they lose to Boston in the finals. In the closeout Game 6, Kobe is horrible in that game, and they lose by 39 points at Boston. I can't defend that. They broke through and beat Dwight Howard's Magic. It was supposed to be LeBron's Cavs. So I thought that was a little overrated. And then even when they did beat Boston and get over the hump, in Game 7, Kobe was 6 of 24 in that game. So I don't know. I agree with your big picture, but when I go little picture of playoff performance without Shaq, I'm sorry.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think Magic was extraordinary. And to be a rookie and start at center in the finals as a point guard, I mean, we've never seen that before. I don't know if we ever will. And yeah, he was terrific. He was splendid. He won his championships. Of course, Kobe got his. And I understand you picking out these individual games and years and teammates and everything. And I think, you can really do that with anyone. And I think it's important to look at the big picture.
Kobe's mystique was bigger than Magic's, but if you look at Magic's productivity, how he changed a culture that both Shaq and Kobe benefited from piggybacking that culture, I'm going slightly Magic over Shaq, Shaq over Kobe. Good job, Jack.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Way to go.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day 1, he would install Pi on his computer without spending a dime because it's 100%.
Freaking ads, bro.
So, Kobe Bryant, 20 years with the same team, 18 All-Stars, 15 All-NBA, 12 All-Defense, MVP, 2 Finals MVPs, 5 championships. And even though he's done all of that, I think what makes him the greatest Laker of all time, it's different than what makes a player the greatest player of all time. Because like LeBron's not the greatest Heat player of all time, that's Dwayne Wade. So it's not just, are you better, like, are you greater? It's what you've done for that city and that franchise. And I would argue it, I love Magic. I grew up on Magic. But when you watch,
It feels like you grew up more on Kobe, right?
I'm older than I look, honestly. But Magic, when you saw him on the court, he was like the greatest showman, right? He's a performer, charisma, a smile, the flashiness, showtime, right? Kobe, when you saw him on the court, it was like watching your brother, your sibling, or your uncle or something, your son, because he had this fully realized character arc. He was a rookie. He failed. Not drafted by the Lakers, but we got him, early. And the air balls, and then the rising to prominence. 2000.
He was just 18 years old, but go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. But 2000, taking over in the finals after Shaq got hurt, after Jalen Rose shadily sprained his ankle, and then he came back, and then he got him back with the 81 later. And then the championships, and then there was another. He went through kind of a villain arc.
He did.
There was like Colorado.
There was Colorado.
All the down years.
Good.
And
Like it.
if you're a fan, Kobe's with you that whole time. And I actually didn't like Kobe early on. I was mad when they started playing him over Eddie Jones, like early days. And you went through all of that, and Kobe just won you over. That's why there are more than 350 murals of Kobe in LA.
Okay, so you're making the case that Kobe is dearer to your
There's
heart
murals
than Magic
because
was.
Kobe
He has
died,
a bigger
bro.
place in your heart. And I'm making the case that Magic had greater impact consistently than Kobe had, because Magic was the driving force of the Showtime Lakers, and Kobe was not the driving force of the three-peat, right?
Sure. Well, let me address that real quick. Because you're going to the finals and you're talking about Shaq, but that's always with the team from the East, and the East had notoriously bad big men. Everyone knows in those years the finals was the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in those series, Kobe was instrumental. In 2002, Kobe and Shaq basically throughout the whole playoffs had equivalent points. Yeah, the same amount of points. And Shaq himself has admitted on various podcasts and different things, he was never the guy to take the last shot. I know you value that, right? Jordan's your guy. Kobe is the closest thing that we've ever seen to Jordan. And he was a guy who never shied away from the moment. He was a guy who always made the most of his opportunity when it was there.
I give you that.
And I don't think he gets enough credit for the second run that he made with Pau. That team wasn't. That's not an all-time team.
No.
His all-time. His
But
supporting
his
cast
breakthrough
was
was
not
not against an all-time team, because remember, the Magic upset LeBron's Cavaliers to get to the finals, right?
I give you that, but you can only play the team that I think LeBron, maybe he's the one who did. They had the Nike commercials, and
That is
but
true.
LeBron didn't hold up his end.
He didn't hold up his end in the bargain. Okay, so you're okay with Kobe pouting in a Game 7 at Phoenix against Raja Bell?
I'm not okay with it, but are you okay with 84, Tragic Johnson, where,
he was
runs
Tragic
out
Johnson.
the clock, throws the turnover?
Okay, he did, but he bounced right back the next year in 85, and he shoots a baby hook shot.
And Kobe bounced back the next year by going to the finals.
Okay, he did. After the pout.
After the pout, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's what, to me, those failures you're pointing at, every player has failures, except
This
for maybe
dude knows ball.
who's your GOAT. But
I think
every player has that.
feel
Magic
like you
has
like
that.
Germany.
Kobe has that. I think in terms of LA and LA.
Okay, but if you look at Shaq's numbers in those three finals, and I give you that the big men, the Tim Duncans, were over on the other side of the bracket, right? But he goes 38, 17, and 2 in their first finals. 33, 16, and 5, and 36, 12, and 4. Look at the assists. He's averaging 5 assists a game in the NBA Finals. Listen, those 3 years, and I've been doing this a long time. I was actually covering the Kareem Lakers pre-Magic out here in LA.
I'm about to get voted out real quick.
Okay.
real quick. Were any of those finals really competitive? Pacers, Sixers, and Nets. No, they weren't competitive. They dominated those teams.
Because you had the greatest offensive force I've ever seen, including Jordan, where he was unrefereeable at that point because I never knew whether it's offense or defense, on the foul.
I think Kobe could easily have had better numbers. He didn't have to. Shaq, those teams were not equipped to play against the Lakers. Credit Allen Iverson for getting the one game in 2001.
It was big. That was the greatest achievement of his career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
that was fire.
Can you
W
please
debate.
just hear me out?
He knows ball.
All work management platforms are the same. They take forever to learn, and in the end, nobody
The first part I didn't really know what he's talking about. Cinematic, I guess.
Way to go. Okay, you're getting close. I will.
How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Yep, so how is Magic the greatest Laker of all time when he wasn't even the greatest Laker on his team? That's Kareem. Kareem was first all-time in Lakers points, first in rebounds, first in blocks, first in field goals made. And he had an unstoppable move in the skyhook, has one more championship because he has 6, Magic has 5, and he has 3 more MVPs.
Okay.
We haven't even got to Kobe yet.
We haven't. All right, let's look hard at Kareem's career. So he wins his first ring in Milwaukee, helped by Oscar Robertson kind of at the end of his career. So that's 1971. Then he goes 4 more years in Milwaukee and nothing really. They were pretty good, but they weren't great. Then he comes to LA in 76 is his first year with the Lakers. And again, there's no Magic yet, obviously.
Right.
And they miss the playoffs the first year. The second year, they get swept by Portland in the conference finals. The third year of Kareem, no Magic, they lose in the first round to Seattle. And the fourth year, Kareem, no Magic, they lose in the conference semifinals to Seattle. So they're floundering with Kareem because he was a follower and not a leader. I give you every point you made about points and about rebounds and about blocks and about skyhooks and all that is sensational, but there's a missing ingredient called leadership, charisma, whatever that greatest intangible is that Magic had greater than anybody this side of Jordan.
Yeah, no,
So,
I give you that. I give you that for sure.
right.
But the thing about it is, you were talking about in 1980, right, when Magic won Rookie of the Year. Would he have won Rookie of the Year if he would have, would he have won Rookie of the Year?
Without Kareem,
Without
you
Kareem,
mean?
Kareem was averaging 33 points that series.
Well, I would like to
Before
think he
before
would
he
have.
got injured in
He could
Game
have gone
6.
to Utah or wherever he would have gone. I just think he would have been Rookie of the Year. But
Right.
he was the perfect fit at the perfect moment for this team. And it became a super team, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, it was Showtime, and they had Big Game James, obviously, and they had Byron, and they had Michael Cooper guarding the way nobody could guard on the perimeter. I give you all that. But it gelled around the new son, S-U-N, who was Magic, right?
Right.
And he lifted them into what was 9 finals, okay?
Yep.
And he is the driving force. Kareem wasn't. Kareem was really more of a Robin, but you can make a case he was the greatest Robin of all time.
Right.
Okay? I give you all your numbers because clearly it took LeBron playing now 22 years, but it took 21 years to break Kareem's record.
And that's the point that I was making, is that at the end of the day, like, unless Kareem just got unlucky because the best player of all time, LeBron James, took that scoring title from him, but he would have been able to keep that for his whole life. And then if we go to Kobe, right? For example, if I was to take your papers right there, ball them up in a trash can and shoot it, whose name would we say? We wouldn't say Magic.
No.
Who we saying? We saying Kobe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And when we talk about like keeping that mentality, how you go through life, how you focus on what you need to do in life, nobody says, keep that magic. They say keep that Mamba mentality.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Okay, but you grew up in the Mamba mentality era, am I right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why I started off with Kareem first.
Okay, all right, you do, and I give you that.
Yeah.
But Magic Johnson was the greatest NBA leader ever, beyond Bill Russell, beyond Michael Jordan, beyond we got Brady over on the other side in the National Football League, so that's another argument. But on just NBA leadership,
right?
Magic on charisma, on winning time, as he called it winning time, and in my generation, winning time was more important than, because we didn't know Mamba mentality yet, right?
I got you.
I want winning time.
I want
Kobe,
magic time. Kobe had the same type of leadership style as far as like Kobe
did.
had aura, like
He did.
job's not finished, like all of those things, but also he showed it in actions first. You know what I mean?
He did.
Wasn't really about the partying or going out. He was so dedicated to the craft.
I think Kobe was a Jordan-esque leader, and he modeled every bit of his action, his very body language after Michael Jordan, and he led like Jordan did, and it wasn't a pretty sight because he could be a real, just a tough leader, like a, he gave nobody any slack at all. He pushed, he pulled, he cursed, he did it the way Jordan did it.
I agree.
And it was scary. It was like an intimidation, leadership by intimidation. Magic did it with a smile, but Magic, listen, I got to know him in his rookie year. He was as tough as they came. You wouldn't want to mess with him.
I agree with you. I mean, leadership comes in all different forms, right? You never know how somebody's going to choose to lead, but Kobe led in plenty of ways, and also all of the players that picked up a basketball because of his presence. We wouldn't have Devin Booker without Kobe. Jason Tatum is
I'm with
doing what he
you,
does.
But
So,
I'm
yeah.
looking at the first 4 years with no Shaq, and Kobe really struggled by himself because he couldn't figure out yet how to lead because he was a
his team
solo
sucked.
act of solo acts.
Of course.
So it took Jordan a while to figure out, hey, you actually need those 4 other guys along with 8, 9 other guys
had
to
Kareem,
get
though.
this
Magic had
done.
Kareem.
And with Phil's help, he finally figured that out when they broke through. But even after the pout game in Game 7, if I look at Kobe winning the championship, getting even with the Boston Celtics in that Game 7, he shoots 6 of 24 in a Game 7. Well, that's not Mamba mentality, and,
Right.
and I didn't love that. It's like, remember, Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, hit the shot of shots in that game with a minute left. He hits a big 3 that gave them the cushion.
I'm a Celtics fan. I watched that. It broke my heart.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, Skip.
Way to go. Good job.
I switched from due dates to due dates, and it made me go from weeks behind to weeks ahead of my deadlines. You see, I used to just bed rot all day, getting nothing.
I love Chipotle.
Sorry. I think that Magic Johnson is one of the greatest Lakers of all time, but because he had a shortened career, unfortunately.
He did. It was still 12 years, but it should have been 20
12 years, but not 20, like Kareem,
Yeah.
like Kobe, like LeBron. But I'm going to go a little off path here. I'm going to argue that the logo was the greatest Laker of all time. He only won 1, but he had to play against the greatest dynasty in the history of the sport. He had to play against the greatest leader in the history of the sport, I think, Bill Russell, who would make, like Magic, everybody around him better. Also, he scouted for the Lakers afterwards.
He did.
He coached the Lakers during the time that you're talking about Kareem getting there.
Not well, but he coached.
They actually did okay. They actually did okay. They didn't have a great team, but they did. Like, I think they got the Western Conference Finals at least once. And then he stepped aside, and when Buss wanted to hire Riley, because Magic pushed Westhead, right?
Out, yep.
Buss tried to make them co-coaches, and West and Riley, and West right afterwards said, that's not the case. It's Riley's team.
Right, he wanted no part of that.
And he's a badass, like, in that way. And he put together Showtime. He put together Shaq and Kobe. He helped Memphis have a team at all.
Okay,
he
but
helped
we're
put together.
not talking about post-career. We're talking about playing career, because Jerry
talking about
West, to me, is the greatest GM ever in the history of the NBA. And by the way, Michael Jordan was the worst GM in the history of the NBA.
Not real.
Just for objectivity here. But to your point, okay, so Jerry West and the Lakers get to 9 finals, and he loses 8 times, and a lot of it had to do with that guy, Bill Russell.
To the greatest team ever.
But if I swap out, if I put Magic in place of the logo on those teams, Magic was the greatest winner this side of Michael Jordan that I ever closely observed and got to know. So if you put him in on those Jerry West teams with Wilt and with Elgin and with Gail Goodrich, that he puts them over the top because of his dynamic charisma and leadership. It was unequaled. I've never seen anything like it.
Jerry's leadership, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but Jerry's
it was quiet leadership. It was, but it
but he
wasn't.
had Elgin,
Yeah, he
who
did.
was charismatic, who
Yeah.
was like Michael Jordan
No,
before Michael
I
Jordan.
got it, but man.
and West won the MVP of the finals, only person
In
I
a
think,
losing cause.
on a losing cause.
Yeah.
That's how
But
great he was.
He goes 1 and
He's
8
the
in the
logo
finals
of the NBA.
and you can't say that's better than Magic's winning time Showtime.
Also, to be the greatest Laker ever doesn't mean you're the greatest Laker player ever necessarily. It
Yeah, I
means you're the
understand
greatest.
that.
So he's the only one that was great as a player, great as a scout, I think good as a coach, great as a GM, great as an advisor, great as a logo for the entire NBA the whole time. He didn't ever do anything wrong.
Okay,
and he played
but
long.
if you put Jerry West on the Showtime teams, do you think they're Showtime? Because they're not, because he didn't play with any.
Kurt Rambis was on the
basketball
Showtime team.
Well, he was. He was like a 6th man or badass enforcer.
Jerry
Yeah.
West would have been fine. He would have been like Byron Scott or better, right?
Yeah, but again, if you didn't have Magic Johnson on those teams, you don't have Showtime. There's no more Showtime.
You don't have Showtime.
And Jerry West was as pretty a jump shooter as I've ever seen. It was just beautiful form, and it was mesmerizing, but it wasn't captivating, right? It wasn't Magic Johnson. I couldn't take my eyes off Magic because he had the big smile. He had the greatest smile in the history of the game, and it was contagious on his team. He lifted his entire team with his own charisma.
He did, like Russell, like Russell did in his own way. But I didn't realize that compellingness was part of what made somebody the greatest Laker ever. I thought it was like scoring.
Well, leadership. And
leadership.
I don't think Jerry was a great leader.
Really?
I think he was more of a solo act. He stayed to himself. He was a quiet leader, but not dynamic.
He helped manage.
Not a powerful voice in the locker room kind of leader.
He helped manage Wilt,
I guess, for a little while, and they got a championship. They got one championship
for the
out
best
of it.
Laker team ever, arguably.
Yeah, you could certainly make a case for that.
Right.
Yeah. All right, good job. Way to go.
Good take.
My next claim is Michael Jordan is the GOAT and laughably better than LeBron James.
Ooh.
Here we go. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your career, everything you stand for in this industry, but this awful take, I'm not going to let it seep through.
Okay.
So, Michael Jordan, there are two angles to looking at the GOAT debate. Number one, could Michael Jordan have done what LeBron is doing in this era, and vice versa? The other angle is there any single thing that Michael Jordan has done over the course of an entire career better than LeBron James? So I'm asking you, is there one thing that you could definitively say that Michael Jordan did better than LeBron James over the course of his entire NBA career?
Yeah, he won better. He just won and won and won. He was invincible and unbeatable, and he went 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs. And no, they didn't play the toughest competition in the finals, but the beasts were in the East, and he devoured and slayed the beasts one after another. Bird Celtics, then the bad boy Pistons, and then Reggie Miller's Pacers. And when you go 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals versus 4 and 6 in the finals for LeBron, and Ray Allen saved LeBron a loss there because LeBron had completely self-destructed in Game 6 of that 2013 finals. And then if Kyrie, when nobody can buy a shot, if Kyrie hadn't hit the shot of shots in Game 7 at Oracle, LeBron could be 2-8 in the finals. So we're talking about winning. I say it all the time. LeBron is still, to this moment, the best passer in basketball. I say it all the time. LeBron is still the greatest driver of the basketball I ever saw, to a fault, because he's a poor jump shooter, a poor three-point shooter by star standards, or certainly by superstar standards. And he's a poor free throw shooter by superstar standards. He should have 5,000 more points, but he's such a worse shooter than Jordan ever was as a jump shooter and a free throw shooter that it's hard for me to say, how can you call LeBron the GOAT when he's a lousy shooter?
Part of the argument to what you said is everything you just said is wrong. So if you look at true shooting percentage, which takes into account all the offense, all the scoring,
this dude definitely sounds like
who had the better true shooting percentage in his NBA career in the regular season? LeBron James. Who had the better true shooting percentage in the playoffs? LeBron James. And you just said Michael Jordan won a lot better. So starting 1-9 in the playoffs in his career doesn't count, just doesn't matter. Okay. Or losing to the Pistons over and over again because he was so dominated by any level of physicality because he was soft. So that does not count. That doesn't matter.
Wait, did you just call Michael Jordan soft?
Compared to LeBron James?
He was the baddest you-know-what who ever stepped on a basketball court. Trust me, I was there. Not like LeBron?
Not like LeBron.
LeBron is like the nicest guy ever. He's soft. He's a diva. He's thin-skinned. And can I start down the litany of epic fails that LeBron had that Jordan never had? Yeah, it took a while to break through against Larry Bird's Celtics. But remember that Michael Jordan had missed the whole year. He played 3 games and broke his foot. This is his second year in the league. And he comes back just for the playoffs and goes up against arguably the 86 Celtics were you could make a case they were the greatest team ever. And what does he do? He scores 49 in Game 1, and in Game 2, he scores 63. It took double overtime, But after that game, Larry Bird said that was God disguised as Michael Jordan. Well, trust me, Larry Bird would have never said God disguised as LeBron James, because look at the epic failures here. Do you remember 2010, the last go-around of the first stint in Cleveland? It's against the Celtics in the playoffs. It's the conference semifinals. They win big by 22. He's 14 of 22 from the floor. It's game 3. Then we get to 4, 5, and 6, and right on schedule, he just crumbles to the point that he had somebody from his inner circle tell Stephen A. Smith at ESPN, because I was there alongside Stephen A. at that point, that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because he was having some locker room issue with a teammate, Delonte West. Listen, Michael Jordan never had any issues with locker room teammates because they wouldn't dare to have an issue with Michael Jordan. So the point was he had to be sedated? What a wimp, what a weenie. Is that what we're talking about? And then Dan Gilbert, his owner, a few weeks later, accused LeBron of quitting in those finals. And then do you remember the first go-around with the Heat, the 2011 finals? Do you remember the chosen one became the frozen one? I've never seen like it. Michael Jordan never did that. Even when they were starting 1-9, people were scared to death. Nice try. Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Good point.
IRS e-file is now open. Snap your W-2
Personally,
and file your taxes 100%
I think Larry Bird
free.
should go. Shoot me. Wait.
Hey, good job.
Louise,
you got
bro.
some quicks, man. I'm impressed.
Because I'm ready to come get you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna start here with you. You want to discredit talking about 1-9 in the playoffs, and then not even talk about the fact that he couldn't even get to the finals in his first 6, 7 seasons, right? So you prefer somebody not even making it to the finals? That's crazy.
Okay,
You want to
think of
discount
what
it?
he had in the way. He had 2 of the greatest teams ever in the way,
You
and
mean-
he didn't even have a Robin yet. He was going solo. He didn't have a Scottie
And
Pippen
LeBron did.
yet.
LeBron did first couple years.
Okay, I'll
LeBron
give you
did,
that. I
and
haven't
he
even
made it to the
brought up-
finals. He made it to the finals with
Okay,
a
and-
less roster than Jordan did.
And they got swept
Right.
by the Spurs, and I didn't even bring that up because I give you that one.
So
I'm not going to hold that
so
against
you want to
LeBron.
hold somebody accountable for going to the finals and losing than not going to the finals at all.
Okay.
Right? More money to the city, so many more things accomplished, less players on the
Okay.
team, right? Then his other final losses, right? You could even talk about the fact that when he went up against the Warriors, he didn't even have a running mate with him either, right? So every time you want to protect
but-
Jordan, I knew you were going to
real
go
quick.
6-0.
Okay, so he goes up against the Warriors.
Okay.
And I always give him this. Those first 3 games, you remember, because he doesn't have Kevin Love, he was gone already, right? Kyrie fractures his kneecap in overtime of game 1 at Oracle. Remember this? LeBron put up the greatest numbers of his career for 3 straight games. And I'm like, you got this team, because they weren't the Warriors yet. They obviously didn't have KD yet. And they weren't sure who they were. So they're down 2 games to 1. And game 4 is in LeBron's house in Cleveland. And in game 4, he was horrible. He goes 7 of 22. He was 5 of 10 from the free throw line. And I'm like, the next day, I'm telling Stephen A. on ESPN, he had a chance to step on their throats. It was, remember, the Iguodala game where Steve Kerr said, I'm going to switch. I'm going to start Iguodala, and I'm going to put him on LeBron. And LeBron just shrank. He closed up. He had them. If he had stepped on their throats and they'd gone up 3 games to 1, and this is the 2015 finals, the first one against the Warriors, you got me. That you could make a go case. But instead, he shrinks and disappears in games. Here we go again. 4, 5, and 6 right on schedule, and they lose in 6 games. So he couldn't close deals. All the great clutch shots that Jordan made, they closed deals. LeBron's made a few clutch shots, but they never mattered. They were never meaningful. They never ended series or games or championships.
No, you see, that's where you're trying to pick and choose, right? You want to talk about clutch games, but then you don't want to talk about how he's dragged so many teams to the finals, right? And
Did
he's
he
the one
drag
who's,
the
and
Heat
he's
to
the
the
one
finals?
and he's the one hitting the game-winning shots, right? The same way he took Toronto out, right? The amount of times he did that countless times, you don't want to talk about that, though.
Well, I will.
You want to only talk about when Jordan does it in the finals, as if Jordan's career was only 6 years. He's 6 on the finals, but his career isn't 6 years.
No.
He had 6 to 7 years before that, and then he had another 2 years in the Washington Wizards at 40 years old. We don't want to talk about LeBron at 40 now.
Okay, I
They
don't.
literally tried to
they were
drag
like-
him out the court.
they were-
Gilbert Arenas talked about how they literally was ready to hand him the keys and get Jordan out of there by 40.
They were
he was
two
a cancer.
ceremonial years. He wasn't a cancer.
Yeah,
he was running the show. He was going to be the GM and the head coach
Yeah, they
and
were horrible,
the fading superstar.
So,
he
do
averaged.
those years don't count then? That's
Okay,
the way it sounds like
the
to me.
last 2 years I don't count.
That's crazy.
Okay,
So,
he-
but
he
then you
took-
want to
wait,
count
wait, wait,
everything
wait,
about
wait, wait.
LeBron. You want to count everything about LeBron, but then
Okay.
take some years out.
He took 3 years off. He retired because they ran his coach out the back door in Chicago,
whose
and he
fault is
said,
that?
"I'm out." Well, it was on pride and principle. He just said, "I'm out. I'm not going to play anymore." And he came
And
back because he
greatness
was.
means keep playing year in and year
No,
out.
it
Every
doesn't.
year, LeBron keeps extending his career because the love of the game and that
Uh-huh.
matters.
Okay,
Right?
Good
His
look,
career
brother.
is still
Okay.
in it,
In
and
the
he's going
short
even
time he
towards 40.
played, Jordan won 10 scoring titles to LeBron's 1 scoring title. Jordan was the defensive player of the year in 1989. He's the defensive player. LeBron was never defensive player. 9 times Jordan was first team all defense. I'll give you 5 times early in his career, LeBron was first
Could
team
you
all
not
defense.
argue that LeBron should have got way more MVPs? Because he was always the best player all those years, but they don't count it.
Okay,
So now we're
you
going
don't-
to take away accolades from him
You don't
versus
think
at a
Jordan was
time.
the best player for 11 straight years in Chicago? He
that's
was.
fine. That-
It was just ridiculous how
That's-
much better he was.
I'm not arguing that.
Okay. All right. So let's look at LeBron's buzzer beaters, okay? Because I know them by heart.
And he has more buzzer beaters than Jordan.
No, he doesn't. It's 9-8 Jordan. It's 9-8. I'm not cherry picking. I'm not semantics. I'm just telling you the truth. It's 9-8 Jordan, and I'm giving the 8th that thing the other night.
I'm sorry, wait, you only talking about the playoffs, 9-8.
No, I'm doing total regular season of playoffs. The other night,
Please fact check.
LeBron had a little tip in at the buzzer. Do you remember this? On Luka's missed shot, and LeBron's just right at the rim and just tips it over the rim, and you have to count that as a buzzer beater, and it was the weakest, easiest buzzer beater in the history of buzzer beaters. Okay, all right.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so here are your. I'm going to get to Jordan's in a minute, but I'm watching every game LeBron plays, and it took him 477 NBA games before he finally hit a walk-off shot, and it was on Ronny Turioff. It was at Golden State. This is probably way before your time.
I wanna
because
hear his
January
take.
23rd of 2009. It was a regular season game, okay?
He
And
knows.
he hit it, and I'm like, way to go.
He is like
I
that
stood
stuff
up and gave him a
memorized.
standing ovation. And then he hit the shot heard round the world against Orlando in Game 2 at Cleveland. You'll remember this. In the year that they ended up losing to the Magic when
True.
okay
But the game is more than just game-winning shots. You know that, right?
No,
Right now,
I know
you're going
that,
down
but-
a rabbit hole if
okay.
you want to talk about like clutch shots, end
Okay,
of game.
but-
But,
but-
there's 47 minutes before that you got to play.
I understand that,
Which
but here's
LeBron
the
is,
point.
Go ahead.
LeBron was born without a clutch gene. It's as simple as that. He just was. Jordan is the greatest clutch shooter I ever saw, and LeBron can be the weakest mentally superstar I've ever witnessed because he's afraid of the late game free throw line. And in late and close situations, since LeBron came into the league, he's the worst by
Why
far.
is basketball so much about the last 30 seconds when there's 47 minutes and 30 seconds in the game?
You're trying to make
and
a
there's
GOAT
so
case.
much, yeah,
You're-
GOAT
okay,
case, exactly.
okay, and you're
exactly,
trying to make it
right?
over Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
You did a good job. You did a good job. Way to go.
I still think Skip Bayless is stupid. Could I debate against him? No. But
You're going to need that cross
Yes.
around your neck.
Yes, I will. I don't think LeBron's the GOAT. I don't think Michael Jordan's the GOAT either, though.
Oh, so we're going a different direction.
I think we're going to go in the direction of Stephen Curry. And I'm going to point out your simple statement in one word.
Steph Curry?
You said laughably.
Okay.
And to me, that's bigger than Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. You are simply hitting and taking a hit, a personal shot at the entire game of basketball that we are watching today. And to me, you bring up competition. I think seeing Steph Curry and LeBron James and have go head to head in their rivalry, LeBron always posts on Instagram, he says, iron sharpens iron. Where was the iron sharpening iron with Michael Jordan when he was winning all of his championships? I understand that 6-0 is something that is perfect. You really can't debate it. But what you can do is say, all right, it was a beautiful thing. We're going to leave it in the past because there is greatness in front of our eyes, and it's LeBron James and it's Stephen Curry. And then we get into LeBron versus Steph, and I'm going to sit here and say, Steph Curry, if he wins a 5th championship, which he will, which is why I'm saying Steph's the GOAT, if he wins that 5th title, he is the greatest of all time.
Okay. Do you realize that Steph Curry and company had a 3-1 lead on LeBron without there's no Kevin Durant involved here, right? It's just Steph. So it's I think you would agree that was Steph's team, right?
It was
there's
a tough
Clay and there's
performance.
Draymond, and we get all that, but it's Steph Curry or bust to me.
Game 5.
Because okay,
Draymond Green.
You've got he's gone. So you don't
Why?
have
Because
okay,
LeBron
but
made him gone.
If Steph is the GOAT,
LeBron
he's
made
got
him
2
gone?
out of 3
What?
at home to close the deal. All he's got to do is win 1 of 3, and 2 out of the 3 are at Oracle, and he can't pull it off because he's not that guy. He's not the GOAT. And what happened in Game 7 at Oracle? Remember LeBron's chase down block? Remember this?
Yep.
And
Oh,
Kyrie hits the game-winning shot. In the fourth quarter of that game, Steph Curry went 1 of 6, and he went 1 of 4 from 3. Well, I'm sorry, 1 of 5 from 3, and he had a terrible turnover with 2 minutes left where he tried to throw it behind his back and threw it in the 5th row, and it was a key turning point in that game. And without Steph disappearing in the fourth quarter, LeBron and Kyrie cannot do what they ended up doing. And after they blew the 3-1 lead, what happened on July the 4th that summer? Steph Curry led a contingent in a private plane, and they fly all the way across the country out to the tip of Long Island to visit Kevin Durant. And Steph Curry got down on one knee and said, "You've got to come save us. You, Kevin Durant, have to come save us because we can't beat LeBron James without you."
I understand.
Okay?
I understand that.
So you're disqualified as the GOAT. If you have to go beg somebody
You're not
to come save
disqualified
you.
because LeBron James, everyone here is talking about LeBron as the GOAT, and he did a very similar thing. When you look at Steph Curry and his greatness, I get that he choked in that moment. The 3-1 lead, you're never going to be able to beat that. But what he did in 22 against the Celtics and what he's doing now, you love Tom Brady. His best years are ahead of him, and I'm predicting that right
Really?
now.
Okay.
Yes, 1,000%.
Well,
I think
I
the
mean-
next 5 years of Stephen Curry are going to be his best 5 years.
We don't know
Glaze
that. I'll bet
in
against
half.
that because he's 37 years of age.
Understand.
Interesting. Way to go. Good job.
That guy. Oh, that's crazy, bro. 7. Seeing Steph Curry do this crazy work.
What's up, Skip?
How are you,
doing,
sir?
man? Good to see you.
Dodger fan.
Right now, I gotta school you on this. LeBron is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. I know MJ is 6-0. We're kind of just like mystified with that. But LeBron's longevity for 22 years, the work that he's done since 03.
Okay.
And he's been in the shadow of MJ for 22 years. He hasn't been, MJ, who did he look up to? He was with Magic, Magic, that smiling face. Love Magic, but he wasn't as intimidating as being in Jordan's shadow for
Agreed.
22 years of his career.
All right.
I know the 4 and 6 in the finals, but man, 10 NBA Finals appearances. And just one more thing. I know we've talked about this. 2021, finals. The finals was the Nets versus the Bucks. 2018, it was Rockets Warriors. Jordan had to deal with that in the East. Oh, he wasn't pushed to a Game 7. He got pushed to a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals in '92. He got pushed to the Game 7 in '98 in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's been pushed before. He still triumphs. Jordan, that 6-0. We're always going to be mystified from that. All around.
Okay.
It's LeBron.
I'm going to give you your first point. LeBron James is the longevity king. I mean, it's unquestioned. He is the most durable superstar ever. I'm watching the game the other night, and he hooks his thumb on the rim.
That LeBron dude is
and
old
pulls
and
it, and I thought,
Rick,
oh, God, because that's your shooting hand. And I thought, man, are you gone? Nope. They go tape it up, and he goes right back in. Incredible, blessed durability. That's how you play 22 years at age 40. LeBron has now played in the regular season 60,000 minutes to Jordan's 40,000 minutes. So it's an apple and an orange almost. And if we go total, it's 71,000. If I add the playoff minutes in, 71,000 to 48,000. That's 23,000. That's a magic number that LeBron tried to steal from Jordan, and he shouldn't have. Because LeBron wished a lot of this on himself. He right away declared himself, I got next. I'm the next Jordan.
How many times during LeBron's 22 illustrious career, how many times did he take a break? I know Jordan's done that a few times.
He got one break before they won their
down.
last championship in the bubble, the Mickey Mouse Championship, as I call it.
he got a break.
He got like a 4-month break ahead of that, and it served him well because
Not
I don't
18
think he's
months,
going to
he
win
didn't play
another
minor league. He didn't go in the minor
No.
leagues. He didn't go try to go be an owner of the league. He's gone 22 straight years
He
playing in the
has
NBA.
longevity
So
king.
many
That
playoff
doesn't make
runs.
you the
Oh, yeah.
GOAT. That makes you the
10
longevity
NBA
king.
Finals appearances.
Okay.
MJ couldn't get to 10. He couldn't get past the Pistons, just like LeBron couldn't
I mean,
get past
he
the
did
Warriors.
get past the Pistons finally.
After
and,
3
and there
years.
was a book written about it called The Jordan Rules,
was
in
a
which
butt-whooping.
it detailed the rules with which the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys, had to stop Michael Jordan.
And thankfully,
they
he
were
got
scared
Scotty.
to death of him.
Thankfully, he got Scotty during that time
Yep.
because, and he also had a head coach, Phil Jackson, during that time. Once they
did?
figured that out. But who did LeBron have as a head coach during that time? Mike Brown. Mike Brown is no Phil Jackson.
Nope,
He
I'll give
had
you that.
Antoine Jameson.
Mhm.
He had Ilgauskas. That's why he
Yep.
had to go to Miami. He had to go over there
He
and
did.
team up. He learned how to win. And when
Eric Spoelstra is a real live coach.
Oh,
But
yeah.
like I would bank on Eric Spoelstra. And remember, Pat Riley was coaching the coach in that situation. So that was optimum. That was ideal. And LeBron needed a big brother to teach him how to win. And Dwayne Wade was that guy. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Good job.
You're the man.
Way to go. Thank you.
I think my biggest gripe with your argument is the word laughably. I think your top 10 NBA players of all time is well documented. You've got people like Larry Bird in there.
I do.
You've got Shaq in there.
I do.
Did you know those two guys, within the last 3 to 5 years, have deferred to LeBron and called LeBron the GOAT?
I'm not sure
You have
Larry Bird has, but
Sure
Shaq
has.
on TV will say
verbatim,
that.
verbatim, Larry Bird said, LeBron is one of, if not the greatest ever. You
Okay.
have him at, I think, at number 7.
I do. 9, actually.
9.
Just real quick, I got obviously Jordan, Magic, Shaq, Kareem, Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Kobe 7, Bird 8, and LeBron 9.
Wow.
Because I'm taking Kobe and Larry Bird as clutch players over LeBron James every day and every night.
So if you look this up, Shaq also said that LeBron is the greatest ever. So with that being said, if Shaq is deferred to LeBron and said he's the greatest ever, that would at least make him 3. He deferred to that. He gave him 3. So the word laughably is really crazy to me, because also you've called LeBron weak. You called him
Mentally
soft,
weak,
mentally
yep.
weak,
Mhm.
mentally soft. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to play in the NBA for 22 years. It takes a lot of mental fortitude to be, called the king at age 13, 14, and live up to all those expectations.
Doggy break. Ooh, don't pee on me. Ooh. Yeah. Doggy, don't pee on me. Okay, you're good. Oh, you're getting stuck on my wire. Yeah, come on, watch out, baby. City dog. City kid. Tricks are for kids. City rabbit and tricks are for kids. Oh my gosh. Bro, I'm so tired, chat. Man, I don't know my loyal viewers that be watching, A boom boom, a boom boom clock. I feel like an hour long stream too. I'm literally just watching a Skip Bayless video. Hold on. I'm gonna switch over to Twitch because it's easier. So yeah, I love y'all. If you do, check out my Twitch. It's the same username as mine. YouTube. I don't know what's gonna be watching this, but yeah, it's crooked, bro. Oh, that might be. But yeah,